This journey is really not about a petition. It's not about a letter to city council, but it is about a life. Oftentimes we have a certain perception of what hip hop is. We forget about its origin, forget about why it started as a movement and culture in the first place. But the gentleman we honor today, MF Doom, represents the best of what hip hop has to offer. And as you know, we had so many young people whose talent was nurtured and developed right here on American soil. Washington didn't get it right, and that this dreamer didn't get the full citizenship he should have had. The city of Long Beach got something right by ensuring that his legacy on the soil in which he developed his talent is one where he'll never be forgotten.
That's right. Yeah.
I thank you for that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank God for blessing my nephews Sabra and Doom with their creative abilities. They are a product of a spiritual family who depended upon the Lord in all of their endeavors. My family is extremely grateful for your support and vision to memorialize my nephews Daniel Dumele, aka MF Doom, and Dingley's Ways Dumele, aka Sabra. They are gone too soon, but not forgotten. We witnessed their youthful passion for music and their creative style that developed right here at 114 East Hudson Street. They worked tirelessly on improving their skills in their musical genre. They acquired their creativity and drive from their parents. Their mom, Ashlyn, who was 2 years older than me, had a special gift for writing. And their father, Daniel, an artist and educator, who met at an art show at the Kennedy Plaza, like around 1970. Doom and Dinga brought joy and excitement to the family when they performed at their Senior Hall show with their group KMD. I remember informing some of my students who were interested in rap music that my nephew had a group, KMD. They didn't believe me. They were in disbelief and wanted me to prove it. My nephew's musical talent was so widely recognized that a classroom of young, diverse students I was teaching in Forest Hills went crazy that when I mentioned that MF Doom was my nephew. He has left a rich legacy. Thanks again for honoring Dumele's legacy and the street sign KMD-MF DOOM Way. Woo! So for context, I started first grade here, so I was maybe 6 or 7, but that would make Doom and Raheem in 5th grade, 6th grade, and maybe 4th grade, so elementary school and middle school. As a result of that, while I got foundation here, my brothers were entering into their formative years. We lived in Mount Vernon, we lived in Manhattan, we lived in Freeport. My 2 oldest brothers were thick as thieves. You know, everything that they, set as a foundation in terms of their music and their music career, I remember when I was, even 3 and 4 years old, them with record players that were, toys, scratching on, plastic albums. So early on, they already had their plan and their blueprint set up. So by the time they got here and they were going to school, I remember my mom getting notes and calls. Not necessarily about our grades. We all got good grades, but behaviorally, my brothers had their own ideas. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes they wanted to attend school, and sometimes they had other things that were more pressing and important for their goals. Now, I'm not encouraging stay in school, kids. That's not. But what I'm saying is, very early on, they knew and understood what it is that they wanted to do. And so when we landed here, when we arrived here, they set out to, assemble a crew, assemble a team, and to mobilize and organize. Some people, just know them as classmates, but, they also, were part of a crew, GYP, and GYP, organized, so many things in this community that I was influenced by
by that time in my own formative years, and so proud of. They had their own ideas, they had their own mindset, and although my mother got notes, she understood. You know, we are the product of a nurse, working class, and my dad was a science and math teacher as well as an artist. And so we already had our culture, you know, already set up. We already understood how to create and how to express that creation out into the world. And so it wasn't about their behavior was such that despite what anyone was telling them about the way that they needed to conform in the classroom, they had, you know, bigger dreams and bigger goals. So I think that the renaming of this street kind of represents a culmination and a full circle moment of everything that, you know, they brought with them from where we had been before we landed in Long Beach, and everything that we got from Long Beach, from the school system, from this community. Although they're not here with us, of course they're here in spirit, of course they're here in music, of course they're here in art, of course they're here in expression, of course they're here in the love that isn't just represented here, but of course there are people that would have loved to have been here today and all over the world through their own expressions of art, their own expressions of music. My brothers are living on in infamy, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them and everything that they accomplished, and I'm so proud of them for sticking to exactly what it is that they set out to do. It was a job well done. So I want to thank you know, everybody that's here, everybody that, you know, came to attend, everybody that's gonna watch any footage, anybody that is inspired and impacted by what it is that they left behind for us to continue to be able to appreciate. I want to thank the City of Long Beach for recognizing, for taking the time to take a look at you know, what was done by my brothers, and to see it for what it is. To appreciate it and to give it back to this community.
Zev Love X, aka MF Doom, aka Victor Vaughn, aka King Ghidra, aka Daniel. We loved him. Those of us that loved him, we simply called him Doomale or Doom. Thank you to the City of Long Beach for recognizing Doomale and Dingy's incredible legacy. I'd also like to acknowledge my family. There's a tribe of us here who grew up in Long Beach. We're now into our second and third generation here in Long Beach. I'd like to elevate my auntie Ashlyn, who's no longer with us, my cousin Raheem, or Dingy as we called him. What could I say in 5 minutes to give Doom justice? And the reality is I would need 5 hours, and that still wouldn't scratch the surface. Doom was many things to many people. To some a friend, to many an artist, to the world an icon. Whatever Doom you got was and is authentic. He was that layered. I would say though that we as family, we got the 360. We saw and loved and knew every version of him. We saw his humor and playfulness, his social anxieties, his idiosyncrasies, his care, his rare genius displayed on all levels, not just in the arts. To know him was an education. He breathed possibility into everything he did. And he did so many things well. He was hip-hop. And a master of all the elements of hip-hop. Back in the 80s, Doom was breaking at the boardwalk. He was a masterful DJ, a masterful producer, a masterful graffiti artist, a master in the science of emceeing and rhyming. And he was always studying, always curious. But more than that, he was a spiritual scholar, an organizer, a father who loved his family. Doom was as much a child of hip-hop as he was a product of, and the synthesis of, so many peoples and traditions and cultures, a father from Southern Africa. In fact, he was the first of 4 that donned these regal African names. Doomale, Dingalizwe, Dimbaza, Tenjiwe, a mother from the West Indies, raised in rural poverty in southern Trinidad, with 9 siblings. He is the grandson of Henrietta, who came to this country as a domestic worker.
Yes, right hand woman.
Left her home and her family and her children to tend in the homes and for the families of other people, to send remittance in order to bring her family here. She was the protagonist and architect of our family's dream. And with that domestic worker salary, hustled and sent for her children, and eventually bought that house right there, 114. He was born in Europe, in England, and then raised here on these streets and nursed by a uniquely African-American cultural experience and artistic context. Zimbabwe, Trinidad, the UK, Long Beach, New York. He's a child of the diaspora.
Yes.
He is the promise and the prayers of our ancestors answered.
Yes.
Esoteric, spiritual concepts, connecting that to astrology and physics and history and science and hip hop. This was him as a teenager. He was a leader during the 80s, during the crack era. He built a crew, GYP, that was heavy here on these streets. That at a time in New York when there was so much tragedy and death, they represented consciousness, knowledge of self, study, brotherhood, sisterhood. Look at that legacy. Doom was a manifester. I'll tell a story. I remember walking with Doom on the boardwalk for like a few hours after he had lost his record deal from Elektra, but before he began releasing new music. He laid out this vivid detail, this vision that would become reality over the next 20 years. This character, MF Doom, the other characters he'd be writing for, the multiple projects, all the ways that he would subvert the music industry that hurt him. Honestly, I was taken aback. I love my cousin, but I was skeptical. But, so from my standpoint, witnessing this all unfold, as he told me, exactly, it's like witnessing magic unfold in the world. I still sometimes I pause and wonder at how he was able to manifest this and how he's able to change the culture of the entire world. Not just hip hop, but you could talk to rock artists and soul artists and jazz artists that have been influenced by MF Doom. So in a very real way, music as we know it will not be what it is if it wasn't for the children that grew up in that house right there. I witnessed that man through his mind architect a cultural revival. He wore a mask and was able to do stuff so much with his anonymity. So how can I not be an organizer that behind the scenes helps change the world? See, we lived for a time together in my mom's house, and he was working on his albums in my mom's basement. I witnessed this man produce a classic hip-hop album in my mom's basement, weaving together Bobby Humphrey samples and Gil Scott-Heron samples, some records that he borrowed from my father's collection and never returned, and produced these cultural artifacts that happened right before my eyes as a young person. How can that not permanently affect somebody's worldview, witnessing that? How can that not elevate a child's consciousness?
I'm not big on words, so I'm gonna keep it short. You know, y'all my big brothers. You know, without y'all, I would be nothing. Doom inspired me to do a lot outside of music. We all know the music legacy, but with me, you know, I was a little brother. You know, him and his son was in my house, and I absorbed a lot from them. One of my last times speaking to Doom, I was going to London, and I told him I'll be there at my location. When I got there, I wasn't able to reach him, but I just wanted to speak to him one last time and tell him, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, everything you did inspired me. You know, you got me to this point, and I appreciate that so much. So I just want to say thank you, Tangi, to the family, everyone. This for Doom, this for KMD, GYP. Appreciate y'all.
Somebody say MF Doom.
MF Doom.
Say Sub Rock.
Sub Rock.
We dedicate this block
We dedicate this block
in the name of hip hop.
in the name of hip hop.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna start this off like me and my brothers always have back in our KMD days. And we always began it with the Most High and with a prayer. The opening chapter of the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. Sadaqallahu aladhi. The faith of Islam is one of the things that brought me into brotherhood with Sabrak and Doom. When I converted to Islam, they were the only other Muslims that I knew in town. I lived diagonal from where I'm standing right now. So it was nothing to pass down this block and see my brothers Doom and Dinga always on their porch with a couple other friends from the Get Yours crew. On skateboards, doing graffiti, coming back from runs, grabbing comic books, you know, just into the culture of hip hop. I didn't know them as well, but there's another incident that took place to bring me a little bit closer to them. One day as I passed by their house, about 2 or 3 houses down, there was a mean dog. You know, back in the days, everybody had big dogs. Now they have like these little pet toy dogs. They're real little and cute and all that. But back in the days, early to mid 80s, they had mean dogs, a lot of mutts. This particular dog named King was a vicious dog. So as I said my hellos, my peace, my salams to Doom and Sub and the rest of the team that was there, I began my journey to 7-Eleven. But before I got far, that mean mutt named King chased me back towards their house. They all scrambled, they knew the code, so they all ran inside the house. Now I knew we wasn't that close, so I couldn't make it in the house. But when I ran on the porch, you know, as they jumped through the windows and ran in the door, they closed the window. So we wasn't that good of friends yet. So I went to push the window back up like I'm getting in here. And my hand went through the window, which I have a cut here to this day. The glass shattered, but that broken glass created a bond between me and those brothers. Because I had to get 7 stitches, and my brother, God bless him, Sub Rock, that day walked with me to the ER room to get stitched up. And we became that much closer after that. So a lot of us in Long Beach, we came from different crews, right? Everybody had their own hip-hop crew, you know, the breakdancing crew. And that was pretty much the formation of GYP, because Sub Rock was a barber. And when you're a barber, you get all types of different guests and company, everybody from all over the neighborhoods coming into your home. So he was a unifier by his skill. But his mindset and his heart was such that, you know, barbers or contact professions, they have an ability to be able to provide therapy. They're good ears, they listen to you. So that's, Sub Rock was the glue, he was the gel. You know, Doom as an older brother, he was always in the other room, most times, studying, reading books, watching documentaries, you know, always up to his craft. You'll see him staring off into the sky sometimes, just, you know, thinking about his aspirations, his plans. These brothers took me under their wing, made me a part of their crew. We were conscious young individuals. The old school graffiti crew was causing much damage. But when we became conscious, we decided to make that a positive cause in a much damaged society. Society was damaged because of all the ills that plagued black and brown people. We didn't have that knowledge of ourselves. The schools didn't teach us such. So we took it upon ourselves to travel into Bushwick, Brooklyn, almost every other Sunday, to study and learn a little bit more of our culture and our history. We began teaching that, so we became community organizers. We held meetings. We had youths of young ladies and young men, maybe 200 in number. When we meet and we discuss our history, we were self-taught in that regard. A lot of people don't know that Doom's name, his rap name backwards, was Zev Love X. Zev Love X means X evolves. He took the teachings of Malcolm X and incorporated that into his rap name. But he also took that by any means necessary to be able to achieve and accomplish what he needed to once we lost Sub Rock. Going on tour with these brothers, with the likes of leaders of the new school, which we have Milo, leaders of the new school here right now, Brand Nubian, De La Soul, quite a few of our CL Smooth and P-Rock, all of our label mates. These were like our big brothers. It was a conscious team of us. You know, but I'm so grateful that Doom and Sub decided to allow me to come on that journey. And it wasn't because I wrote rhymes. They actually forced me to rhyme. They said, you're coming with us, we're putting you in this group, this is how you write a bar, this is what a verse is, and you know, I'm forever grateful for that love. They showed me the world in my youth. And in their passing, the world has been showing me them time and time again. Even in this crowd, man, I want to just thank everybody that came from all over just to be here today. This street has been a conduit, heavy traffic for us. And what's happening here today replays in my mind all the time, even before this day. Because you can't come past this block or down any of these streets without thinking about the contribution that they made and how they poured into all of our lives. And as great as we honor the supervillain on this day, I want everybody to just give a round of applause To Doom's family for being a support system. His personal family, his immediate family.
And that at the end of the day, is that as a globe, as a world, we need more people like Doom. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KMD-MF DOOM Way.
Say it loud.
KMD, quite obviously, you know, have stood the test of time with their project. So big up to them, big up to Long Beach, big up to the community. And everybody put their hands in the air right now for KMD. Rest in peace, MF Doom. One love, y'all. Peace.
Yeah, my name is They Call Me Chaos. My favorite MF Doom track of all time is Hey, off of Operation Doomsday. MF Doom lives forever, man. Peace.
Favorite album, Operation Doomsday. Dead Ben.
Yeah.
The best. I would say the finest. I like One Beer, Dancing Clown. There's so many though. There's so many.
Hey, my name is Manny Costa. My love for hip hop kind of diminished sometime in the early 2000s, and then I started kind of looking more into underground shit. So the first album I really sat down and listened to was Food, and I just loved everything about it. When I heard Cookies, I was like, what the fuck is this? I really love Pum Queso. Big fan of Food and Mad Villainy, and those were the two that really got me hooked. Because I just kind of bumped, I just kind of put the albums back to back. Raid, I love Great Day, I love the energy in that song. I love Fancy Clown. I mean, honestly, it's so fucking hard for me. Even the Vic Devon shit or King Ghidorah, all of it, man. I fucked with the, JJ and all that shit. Danger Mouse, Basket Case, that's a real fun track. Sofa King is really fucking great, damn. Really love Question. Question is also one of my favorites. If it's top 5, I guess it would just be what I said Raid, Question, Con Queso. I feel like I would have to break it down, and I feel like it's always gonna change. I feel like depending on what I'm feeling that day, I'm gonna be like, nah, this track's gonna be that track.
Rap Snitches. He said, one of my favorite lines is, see the perpetrator, yo, I'm right here. In other words, you see me all the time, but what do you really do about it?
My name is Deja. I'm his cousin, but I look at him as an uncle because he was my mentor at a point in time, and he changed a lot of my outlook on music and the whole world period. He basically made me the person that I am today.
My name is Caitlin. I used to speak to him on the phone. He was a cool dude. He felt like he was my uncle. It's
I would have to say my favorite song by Doom is Deep Fried Friend, because it definitely is a lesson in life that I learned from dealing with him personally, and it shows you how people really can treat you.
Yep.
Yes.
He was the realest to ever do it. Right?
Yes.
It's sad, it's sad, but you know what? At least
his legacy gonna live on forever out here.
Right. MF Doom forever, you heard?
That's the end of Doom. I only wish we could be certain of that, Commissioner. Oh, yeah? I'll bet you we won't see him again until Doomsday. Get it?
Doom, super metal villain, chillin'. About to get to millions, chillin'. Yo, I heard the chicken try to cut us. She said,